Every month, millions of South Africans rely on their SASSA grants, whether it's the Older Persons Grant, Disability Grant, or the R370 SRD grant to cover essential living costs like food, transport, rent, and medication. But this July 2025, something serious is happening that could directly affect over 210,000 grant recipients across the country. According to official sources and data released by SASSA and the Department of Social Development, a mass verification and compliance sweep is currently underway. And the consequence? Suspensions. Thousands of them. This isn't a rumor, it's real. If your information is outdated, your bank account is inactive, or there are discrepancies in your means test, your grant could be temporarily or permanently cut off. Even long-time grant recipients are being reviewed. What's even more concerning is that many seniors and vulnerable individuals aren't being directly notified before the suspension happens. Instead, they only find out when the money doesn't arrive on payday. So in this video, we are breaking down white heavy checkmark why SASSA is tightening up the system. White heavy checkmark, who is most at risk of having their grant stopped. White heavy checkmark, the exact steps you must take this week to make sure your payment goes through in July and beyond. White heavy checkmark and how to fix suspended grants quickly if you've already been affected. We'll also cover key updates to the Older Persons Grant, new income threshold rules, banking issues, and what to expect in the second half of 2025. If you or someone you care about depends on SASSA, then this information is not just important, it's essential. Don't wait until your grant vanishes to take action. Let's get into the facts, step by step. So let's start by unpacking exactly what's going on with the SASSA grant system this July. Many of you may have heard whispers in the community, or maybe you came across a post on Facebook or WhatsApp saying grants might be suspended. And let's be honest, with all the false rumors going around these days, it's hard to know what's true and what's just panic. But I want to assure you right now that what we're talking about today isn't gossip or fearmongering. This information comes directly from confirmed public statements by SASSA, officials in the Department of Social Development, and verified reports from applicants across the country. What's happening is part of a major national verification campaign that SASSA is rolling out to clean up the grant system. Their goal, officially, is to remove ineligible beneficiaries, people who may no longer qualify due to changes in income, bank account activity, age eligibility, residency status, or even something as simple as having failed to update their personal details. Now, on the surface, that sounds fair. We all want a system that works efficiently, especially when government funds are limited. But the real issue is that thousands of people who still qualify are being caught in this net simply because their paperwork is out of date or their information doesn't match up between databases. For instance, imagine someone who changed their bank account in February but didn't update that information with SASSA because they didn't know they had to. Or someone whose ID has an error, maybe a typo in their surname, and now, when SASSA runs a verification check through Home Affairs, it looks like the person doesn't exist or isn't eligible. These are the types of technical issues that are leading to legitimate grants being suspended. And the worst part, most people don't find out until they go to collect their grant, and the money isn't there. No warning, no letter, no SMS, just confusion and panic. In fact, according to insiders within SASSA, more than 210,000 grants across all categories are flagged this month alone, and that number could rise in the weeks ahead. July is particularly sensitive because it marks the start of the second quarter in SASSA's new financial calendar. That means they're ramping up internal audits and trying to show Parliament that they're cleaning up the system. But cleaning up should not mean punishing ordinary people who depend on these grants to survive. Many of you watching this right now know exactly how stressful it is to live month to month, budgeting every rand just to put food on the table, buy medication, and maybe pay for electricity or transport to the clinic. A delayed or missed payment doesn't just mean inconvenience, it means real hardship. What SASSA is doing is not illegal, but the way it's being handled is deeply flawed. The agency claims they are trying to verify beneficiaries, but they are not communicating clearly with those affected. Instead of sending personalized notifications or at least giving people a 30-day warning period, many are simply getting cut off. And then they have to fight their way back into the system, reapplying, appealing, or standing in long queues just to speak to someone who will take their case seriously. I've heard heartbreaking stories already this month. A 72-year-old Gogo from Port Elizabeth whose grant was suspended because her bank account had no activity for 60 days. But what SASSA didn't check was that her grandson was helping her withdraw the funds every 2 months and keeping the rest in a home for safety. No fraud. No dishonesty. Just a misunderstanding of how families actually operate in the real world. Or take the example of a disabled father in Limpopo who lost his grant because his ID number was incomplete in the SASSA system. His application had been approved for over 2 years. No changes. But now he has to go back to Home Affairs, fix the error, and then wait another 30 days before his grant is reconsidered. And while he waits, no income, no explanation. So the big question is, what can you do right now to protect your grant and make sure you're not one of the 210,000 people left out this July? The first and most important thing is to make sure that your personal details are fully up to date, especially your banking information, contact number, and ID records. SASSA is now cross-checking your details not only with Home Affairs but also with SARS, bank databases, and even UIF records. If there's any sign that you might be earning above the threshold or receiving other forms of income, your grant can be flagged. Sometimes it's something as simple as a family member sending money into your account. It gets picked up by the system as income, even if it's just a 500 from a child helping you out. That's why clarity is so important. If you've had any changes to your situation, a new account, new phone number, or even a new home address, you must go in and update that with SASSA as soon as possible. Now, let's also talk about the grant reviews and reassessments, which are a big part of this verification drive. If you've received a letter, SMS, or email telling you that your grant is under review, don't ignore it. Many people don't take it seriously because they assume the system will sort itself out. But unfortunately, doing nothing can lead to automatic suspension. You have to respond, even if you believe everything is still valid. Sometimes all SASSA needs is for you to submit a bank statement or proof of life. It might seem minor, but that one piece of paper can keep your payments coming without interruption. And if your grant has already been suspended, maybe you've checked your balance and seen that it's a 0.00 this month, don't panic. There is a way forward. You need to appeal the decision immediately. Go to your nearest SASSA office, explain your situation clearly, and ask to fill out the review appeal form. Take all your documents with you, your ID, proof of residence, bank statement from the last 3 months, and anything that shows your current status. The appeal process can take a few weeks, but it's the only way to get back on track if you've been cut off. This crackdown isn't just affecting pensioners and disability grants, by the way. Even SRDR 370 recipients are being hit hard. The new criteria for the SRD grant in 2025 are far stricter than they were in previous years. The government has introduced a more aggressive means test, which looks not just at how much money you earn, but also where it comes from, how regularly it's deposited, and even how much airtime you buy. Yes, you heard that right. In some cases, spending habits on data and airtime are being monitored as part of digital profiling. This might sound ridiculous, but it's happening. SASSA is using more tech tools than ever before to decide who qualifies, but technology doesn't always understand people. It doesn't see context, only numbers. So a once-off deposit or family gift might look like income to the system, and that's how people are being unfairly excluded. What's especially frustrating is that while government talks about using smart verification systems, they haven't made it any easier for people to check their own status or submit corrections. The SASSA website crashes regularly. The WhatsApp helpline is often unresponsive, and phone lines almost always engaged. That leaves thousands of people with no choice but to spend hours in queues, sometimes from 5 a.m., just to ask a question. That's not a system serving the people, that's a system failing them. Now, looking ahead to the rest of 2025, there are some critical policy changes you should keep your eye on. One of them is the review of income thresholds for the older persons and disability grants. At the moment, single individuals must earn less than around a 92,520 per year, and couples less than are 185,040 combined. But as inflation continues to rise, these numbers may be adjusted later this year. Whether that happens before December is still being debated in Parliament, but there's strong pressure from civil society groups pushing government to reconsider these thresholds. If they do increase them, that could allow more people, including those currently disqualified, to requalify for help. Also important is the talk of grant digitization. While the idea of using apps and digital platforms sounds modern, it creates serious barriers for seniors who don't have smartphones or who struggle to use apps. Already, many older grant recipients rely on family members to help them navigate the system, which opens the door to fraud or abuse. There is still no solid plan for how government will support elderly citizens who can't access digital tools, and that's something we'll be watching closely in the months ahead. In the meantime, the most powerful tool you have is information and community. If you're watching this video, I encourage you to share it with someone you know, your neighbor, your auntie, your church group, anyone who depends on SASSA to survive. Misinformation is dangerous, but silence is even worse. The more we talk, the more we stay alert. And when we are alert, we are empowered. This month may feel overwhelming, but you are not alone in this. There are organizations, advice officers, and even SASSA workers who genuinely want to help, but you have to stay one step ahead. Don't assume the system is working for you automatically. Check your grant status. Ask questions. Visit your nearest branch if something feels wrong. And most importantly, don't be afraid to appeal or fight back if your grant is unfairly suspended. This channel will continue to bring you real-time updates, advice, and step-by-step guides every month, because this isn't just about one grant or 1 month, it's about our dignity, our rights, and our future as South Africans. The truth is, the grant system is under pressure, politically, financially, and structurally. But that doesn't mean ordinary people should suffer for it. So whether you're a Gogo in Khayelitsha, a pensioner in Polokwane, or a father on disability in Durban, this message is for you. Keep your documents in order, stay informed, and most of all, don't let anyone take away what you've rightfully earned.